Okay, because a lot of you have been asking me to give a tutorial about a drawing technique called geometric shading. So I think this is the time to share with you how I do it. This is just my own style. And geometric shading is pretty much what I use with these portraits that I did. And they turn out really good and they look a little bit different compared to just the traditional shading. So I hope you watch this video because I know that you will learn something about this geometric shading that you can apply to your own portraits. So I hope you enjoy it. Okay, we should start with geometric outline, meaning we need to be able to have an accurate outline on our paper. And you can do the tracing technique, but today I'm going to show you the grid method. But this is a different grid method, and I know a lot of you already know about the grid method, and a lot of artists are using this kind of like an outline technique. But I used bigger grids here. My paper, my reference photo, the size is 8 inches by 10 inches, so I divided it per inch. So it's a little bigger. It's a inch cube. And since my paper is a lot bigger than my reference, and instead of using just 1 inch for the actual paper, I expanded it to I think 1.4 inches per cube to make the image a little bigger because my paper is bigger than my reference. So basically you know about the grid method. But if you're a beginner, it's not very hard to do the grid method. You just put the exact number of cubes on your reference to the paper, and that's it. If you want to make a bigger image but the exact outline, instead of using just 1 inch like here on the reference, you just make it a little bigger than 1 inch or a lot bigger than 1 inch depending on the size of the figure that you want to draw. So you know about this now. I'm using bigger grids right here, but I'm not afraid that I'm not going to get the exact proportion because I'm gonna be doing the geometric sketching style, which is more of like a straight line sketching and not more of a curve sketching. And you will see right here. I'm gonna show you exactly how I do it. By the way, the paper that I use for this particular drawing tutorial is the Strathmore Heavyweight Drawing Pad, which is a little bit like a cream color, so it's not extremely white. This is a bit of white, which is also nice to use for graphite. So I'm gonna use pure graphite for this particular portrait. So I start with my outline using the grid method, and don't worry if it seems that the grid is a little bit big, because this is what I would do to make the outline more accurate. I'm gonna put dots. As you can see here, I put tiny dots in the middle of each cube, and I put exactly the same dots in the middle of the cubes of the reference photo. So I will have a more accurate guide to where I put my outlines. So I'm just gonna go with where the lines of the grid, and at the same time the dots in the middle. It's very easy to put the exact dot in the middle instead of using smaller grids, which can consume lots and lots of time. So I just put those tiny dots in the middle of each cube, both on the reference and on the paper, to help me locate where the lines should be. But aside from the eyeballs, I what I do here is drawing straight lines, especially on the shadows. But here I'm gonna show you how I put straight lines right here on her eyebrows, and I'm trying to avoid circular or curved lines here because the what I'm trying to achieve here is a geometric base tone. So there, on top of the geometric base tone, there is where we are going to draw or to shade the actual skin tone. It's going to be a solid foundation for our drawing. So it's going to make our drawing a lot easier to do and a lot quicker. And especially for those of you who use the grid method, I know it can sometimes be very tiring, and it sometimes can very complicated if you are going to use small grids. But here, since this is particularly big grids, uh, I think the advantage of geometric sketching is will play a very important role for this particular grid method, because you are just intersecting the straight lines, not just the lines of the actual face or the nose or the other parts of the face, but also for the shadows. So just look at the reference photo and you will see the blocks of shadows. You will see the squares, you will see the geometry of the shadow. So that is just the idea of geometric shading or geometric sketching. So at this point, we are doing an accurate sketch of the face using big grids right here. So I'm trying to identify based on the grid and based on the dots in the middle of the cube where the actual position of the opening of the lips, the nostrils, the eyeballs, the shape of the face. So because perfect outline in every drawing is the key for realism, because well, there are artists who are expert in freehand or in other method of outlines like the Loomis method, or there are several methods. Even tracing method is also a part of what you can do to achieve outlines. There's nothing wrong with that, but here I'm going to show you how the sketching becomes easier using the grid method. using this geometric sketching style right here. So I know the position of the hair right here. So everything starts with an outline. Okay, so since this is geometric shading, I'm gonna be using the grid method, which is this is not a typical small grid. Now let's go on to actual shading of our geometric base tone right here. So I'm gonna start with a 4B. As you can see right here, this is a 4B pencil right here. So this is where, oh, this is what I will use right here for the eyebrows, all the darkest parts of the face. I'm gonna use this 4B. And like what I always say, to achieve realism in portraiture, especially with graphite, you need to be able to use different grades. That's why graphite has grades. So, but since this is just the geometric base tone or geometric shading of the base tone, I'm not yet using like 8B or 10B. The darkest pencil is just the 4B right here, because as what I said, we are building a solid foundation, which is a geometric shading of the base tone. So after this foundation, everything will be now very easy for the actual skin tone that you will see as we finish this particular portrait. So very very lightly, you don't have to put pressure on graphite because we are gonna be using later on some darker colors. We're gonna be using 10B or 7B to achieve dark shadows. So you don't have to put pressure. Why? Because you are gonna intensify the bloom or the shine of the graphite, which is not very pleasing to the eyes. That's why it's very important. But actually, even if I'm not putting any hard pressure with this 4B, it's still quite dark already. And but I don't use like the 10B or the 7B here because this is just a base tone. So we are just trying to build a solid base tone for a drawing, and you will see later on why this particular step should not be missed. It's very very important to be able to achieve this geometric style of shading. As you can see, you must be able to see already the resemblance of the image to our reference photo, even if this is just going to be rough and geometric, and it doesn't have much curve. This is just the beauty of geometry is something that you can observe right here. Even though there are lots of lines, sharp lines right here, this all will be a part of a very nice different style of portraiture right here using graphite pencil. So now I'm using a lighter pencil right here. This is the B. So after the 4B, I use the B for the mid-tone. So the 4B is for the dark tone. Now this B pencil is for the mid-tone. So it's important to use different grades. As you can see, significantly, the layers become lighter for this B pencil for the mid-tone. And then finally, the lightest pencil for this geometric shading right here is the H. Or actually, this is the 2H. So I realized that the H is not is almost as light as the B, but I decided to use the 2H to make it more light. And now, very, very lightly with clean, soft makeup brush right here, I'm gonna blend very lightly all these shades, all these geometric shades that I put. And as you can see, even if I use the brush, you can still observe that the geometry of the shading is still very visible, which is what we like because that is what we are trying to achieve, this kind of look right here.
Watch out for part 2 and we are going to make it look even better.